We are now talking to Virginia tight end recruit Jack Witmer. What's going on, Jackie?
Hey, what's going on? How are y'all?
I know nobody calls you Jackie, so I'm going to try to figure out a nickname for you. We call Mr. Easter's Easter Man. We call him the Easter Man, right? What do we call him today? Easter Man?
Yeah.
Easter Man. So we called him Ben Easter, the Easter Man Easters. So we figure out some nicknames, and if you like it, maybe it'll stick to you, and you'll use it when you go to play college football. Anyways, how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
We've been good. It's hasn't taken too much of a toll on us down here. We've been taking it slow, but everything's, pretty much back open here in Texas. So it's been great.
So let me ask you this question. We look at the tight end position. We've interviewed some of the best tight ends in the country, recruits. They're fantastic tight end recruits. When you look at the position and the transition of the game from college football, high school football to college football, and now even the NFL, you need to be about 6'4", 240 pounds, brutally strong, can run a 40 in like 4.7. Where do you see yourself when it comes to the speed and the ability and the agility moving forward to college football?
Right now, that's, one of the biggest things I've been focusing on is, just trying to get my speed, up to like the standards, and also while keeping that weight on super high. So, I've been working on the speed, already dropped 0.3 seconds in my 40, just working on it
Wow.
through this whole coronavirus break. So I went from a 5.2 to a 4.9 now. So hopefully by the time I show up to Virginia, I'll be able to run at least a 4.8. That's my goal.
Yeah, you brought up my next point nicely. Tight end versatility we've seen in this league today, with a lot of tight ends that are playing like wide receivers. They line up outside like wide receivers if they're the best offensive option on the team. So have you been using a lot of those kinds of roles, either in the backfield or in the slot or outside, like we see with Gronk a lot of the time? Have you been using those kinds of roles, and do you think they'll expand it even more?
At Virginia?
Yeah, just in general, both at Virginia and maybe across college football too.
Mm-hmm. So, I do think personally that tight end is one of the most important roles in college football. It's a wide receiver, but, you can have him on the field. You can run power right behind him, or you can, have a mismatch nightmare against the linebacker, So I think personally that it's going to be one of the biggest positions in these coming up years is just going to be the tight ends, just knowing all the guys that I know that are going to play college ball and how athletic and able-bodied they are to play.
We are talking to Virginia tight end recruit Jack Witmer. Now, Jack, I see that you're a 3-star recruit, which is it's highly rated and highly coveted. When you look at Virginia, what made you decide to go to Virginia? All the different schools that were recruiting you. I think Arkansas State was actually recruiting you, right? Mm-hmm. There were a couple of really good schools recruiting you. What made you decide to go Virginia out of all the other schools?
So what really did it for me at Virginia is academics are one of the most important things to me. So, I can't really ask for a better school academically than Virginia. There's very few schools in the nation where you're going to be playing Power 5 football, winning games, and having that type of education. So that's really what did it for me at Virginia. But then also, Coach Mendenhall and then the position coaches and stuff and the staff, they really made me feel loved. And it was just a great experience. And I even went up there a little bit, walked around campus myself. I really see myself there.
So I asked the same question to Ben. I mean, your school has been one of the college basketball powerhouses for a while, except for the year they lost the 16 seed, which by UMBC, which by the way, I predicted, I was one of the few people that did, but they did win the national championship the next year, redeemed themselves. But again, they've always been more.
He likes blowing his head up, Jack. So it blows up like this. It's like a balloon.
Okay. That was one of my boldest and proudest predictions. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So again, more known as a basketball school, but progressed nicely as a football school last year, made the ACC championship game. They were number 23. I think they finished in the nation. So do you think the support for the college football program will either surpass or even come close to the college basketball program in your time there? Do you think it's growing that much?
I definitely do. With just looking at the years since Coach Mendenhall has been hired there, you can see just the progress the football team has already made. And, just the way he does things and the way the program is built, there's no reason that we couldn't be one of the best teams in the country coming up in the next few years.
As you guys know, we are talking to Virginia tight end recruit Jack Witmer. Now, the tight end position, like Speedy was saying, there's so much more entailed to the position now. You not only catching the ball, you're 6'6", 225 pounds. You're still a kid. Boy, you're 17, 18 years old. You're not even grown into your body yet. You're probably, by the time you're ready to play college football, you'll probably be about 20 pounds heavier, and you're running your 40 like a second faster. I mean, it's incredible. The athletes that we see in college football go all the way into the NFL, and the ability and the agility that you guys have. So what really stands out to you as a college football player now, not only catching the ball, but now you have to be a pass blocker. What is the difference from the transition to high school to college? What really stands out to you now going to play college football?
So, I mean, playing in Texas at the 6A level, at one of the biggest divisions, it's people like to acquaint it very similarly. Like, there won't be too much of it to college football, but obviously just playing against the people who you're playing against. You're not playing against someone who's going to be 40 pounds less than you. Whenever you're playing against someone in college football, they'll be your same weight, probably even more. And as a tight end, you can be blocking anyone from a D tackle to a cornerback. So there's just the level of talent that you go against is just so much better. And then also just like route running wise and terminology wise, there's just another level of the game that you unlock whenever you go to college.
So you brought up Texas high school football. It's one of the most unique things culturally. It's a big deal over there for them, bigger than even some other professional sports. You see,
huge.
It's huge out there. You see all these big stadiums for high school football. So
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. What were some of your favorite parts of just that whole Texas football experience, either in wins or losses?
So, I mean, going to my high school, we're known to be one of the better teams in Texas 6A, and we, it's a special thing to be able to play football for a school this big, and games are incredible out there. Personally, my favorite game was last year, our playoff game. We played the Katy Tigers, which is another powerhouse team, and there was 15,000 people in the stands for just our high school game. And you can imagine how loud and crazy just a high school football game was in the second round of the playoffs in Texas. And that's got to be one of my favorite memories. We did end up losing, but it was a great game to play in.
Well, Texas, I watched Friday Night Lights, and if you haven't watched the movie, it's based out of a football team in Texas, and I think Texas football is the best in the country. There's not even – you go look at some of the great prospects or recruits that come out to go play Division I football. They're all practically from Texas, some from Florida, and some from New Jersey. I mean, those are the top place. Texas being one, I would say Florida number 2, and New Jersey being number 3. It's really crazy. Some California players, but mainly Texas. So the fact is when you look at the tight end position, and you look at the wide receiver position, I believe the wide receiver position is a prima donna position. Okay. It's always been, and it's been even more now than it ever has. You got the Odell Beckhams, the Jarvis Landrys, the Antonio Browns. When you look at the tight end position, honestly, is there a particular player that you look at yourself to be as the up and coming player going to Virginia? Do you look at yourself as a Gronkowski type of player? What type of player do you look at yourself as to compare and contrast your style of game?
So, if I had to compare myself to just like one player in the league, I would say Zach Ertz. Just from mentality wise, we have the same mentality wise, school wise, where he chose Stanford, very similar school. And then also just the way he plays, he's not afraid to put his hand in the ground and block, but then he also is a great pass catcher and has a great ability to make a play after catching the ball.
I don't know what NFL team you root for, but did you have a reaction?
He's a Dallas Cowboy
specific
fan. I guarantee
when
it, right?
When Zach Ertz scored the winning
Houston Texans.
Super Bowl.
Houston Texans. Well, Deshaun Watson, but you needed to fire O'Brien.
Have you filed your resume to be their GM? Because they need one.
They need a GM. They need a coach. I mean, that team is. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. I feel bad for him because he's fantastic. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's to me, he's one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's many quarterbacks better than him. And I feel bad for him because that offensive line, I don't care what anybody says, that reconditioned offense, that offensive line is terrible. And they have no offensive weapon. I don't know what they were thinking trading Hopkins away. It
Not
made
only that, they have
absolutely no
like
sense.
all their receivers are the same. They're all small,
Garbage.
deep threat type guys who always get hurt.
Garbage. Then David Johnson, you bring in a guy that hasn't played for 3 years. Does that make sense to you? I don't know.